What's up, guys? This is Pedro from My Stuttering Life, where you will hear the good, the bad, the very ugly. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna cry, but through it all, just know that you are not alone. So, let's get started. This is episode number 131, and my special guest is Josef Rodriguez. Josef is a writer and a filmmaker currently living in New York City. He works as a contributing writer to We Are Mitú, a Latino-centric online news and entertainment outlet. Over the last decade, Josef has contributed to outlets like Latina, Desde Hollywood, and Geek Exchange. I am honored to have him as a guest with me on the My Stuttering Life podcast. Welcome, Josef Rodriguez.
Hi. How's it going? How are you?
Yes, sir. Hi. I mean, this is a huge honor. You have no idea. I mean, and so I have a ton of topics to go over. So let's get started.
Yes.
Do you remember when you first began to stutter?
Yes, I remember it pretty clearly in my head. I was in first grade. And I was asking my teacher if I could use the bathroom. And even now, to this day, I can't say that word right because I think because of that. And I remember I had to ask her, can I use and I couldn't say that word. And it got worse and worse and worse every time I tried to ask her, you know? So over time, it just became this anxiety that just got worse and worse and worse over time, you know? And by the time I hit, I want to say the fourth grade, I mean, it was just, I couldn't handle school really. Cause you know, people don't really understand this because they haven't really had an issue with it. Right. But school involves a lot of reading out loud in class. That's a big thing in school. And I think a lot of people maybe take that for granted because they don't have an issue, right? So it's, you know, it's not even like a thought for them. But for people who stutter, and people maybe who also have like dyslexia as well, right? I mean, it's hard. It's really, really hard. So that was really what started it all, was school and me having to ask to use the use the bathroom. I mean, that's where it was, and I think it ties in a bit, right? Because I stutter the most when I'm trying to ask people what I want, you know, ask them for things that I need, or tell them things that are on my mind, right? It's that's when it happens, you know. So yeah, so I think, yeah.
Ooh, sir, you just hit a chord with Pedro. Let me tell you, we had to read out loud, right? And
Yeah.
and you know, okay. And so we each had a paragraph. And so, you know, I was at the halfway point of a row. And so I knew the paragraph that I had to read. And I looked at it, Joseph. I looked at it. It could have been a book, yes. Joseph, a book. And I was like, there is no way that I can, there's just, and then as each of the students, you know, had read their paragraph, I said, it's almost my time. My heart was hurting. Mm-hmm. I was sweating. I mean, and then we actually have to, you know, stand up and read the paragraph. And so I stood up and I repeated the first word and the letter.
I know.
And the word and the letter. And let me tell you, Joseph, all I heard was, you know, the laughter and kids saying, oh, it's Porky Pig, it's Porky Pig. And so then I told myself, I said, this will never happen again. And so what I did, Joseph, because, you know, our journeys are all, you know, different. Our stutters are all so, you know, individualized. And so what I did was every time that I had to read out loud, I would raise my hand and go to the bathroom. I spent 70% of my school time from the first grade to the 12th grade in the bathroom stall.
The bathroom, right? Yeah.
Now, hold on, sir. This happened in the 1970s. We did not have cell phones. I mean, it was just Pedro in a bathroom stall. And so I would hang out for half an hour. And then afterwards, I would head back into class and they had passed me up. And I was like, okay. Because for me, it was all about survival. Pedro has to survive in this school environment. And so, you know, that's how I did it. And here is the crazy part. I did it all through school. I did it in college. I did it in undergrad. I did it in graduate school. I did it in the corporate world. You do not, you know, forget that type of trauma. So yeah, you know what? I still have it in me, Joseph. I still have it in me. It's crazy.
I have a quick story to tell about that. In 5th grade, I'll never, this for life, I will hold on to this story. In 5th grade, our teacher would make us read out loud, right? And what he would do is he would hand each of us a card, and if he pulled the card that you were holding, then you had to read. I didn't learn a single thing that year because I was just sweating in class every day, praying that he wouldn't pick me. So it was like this horrible, like Russian, like roulette type thing, you know, where I was just waiting for it to be my turn, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. I was just like, you know, so yeah, exactly. Cause you have to just make it through the day, every day, you know? And then this other time in 2nd grade, we had a school play. I had one line in the school play, and we had to sit in a line, and each kid stood up and said their one line. So I knew that it was coming, that I was coming up, right? And I feel something, and I think I'm sweating on my face. I feel something, and so I wipe my face, and I look at my hand, and it's all red. It's all red. I was so stressed out by this that I got a nosebleed, like that. You know, you feel it inside of you, like very intensely.
Oh yes, you do.
So,
oh yes, sir. And see,
yeah.
and here is and here is the crazy part. So, okay, so in high school, the only people who had welcomed me in, it was the drama club, the only people. And these people were amazing. Pedro, you can do anything. You can do anything. So we have a play, The Wizard of Oz, and we want for you to be the lion. I said, hey, I can do anything, Joseph. Joseph, I can do anything. Yes. Yes, I will do it. And then, you know, after school was over and I was, and I was walking home, I thought, what have I done? What have I done? I'm going to be on stage with in the huge auditorium. What have I done? And I mean, I don't have to tell you, sir, the headaches, the nausea, I mean, just hit me. And then I went in and, you know, I told our speech coach, I mean, I can't do it. I can't do it. And she had told me, we're in this together. So we're going to help you. I said, okay. So here is what I did, sir. I learned all my lines. And then when I hopped on that stage, it's the craziest thing. I don't know. But when I walked on stage, a switch had went off in my head and I wasn't Pedro. I was the lion. Every line came out. And I could see the people in the audience, their mouths were open. Because, you know, they all know that I have a stutter. And they're like, how can he do that? And you know, after it was all done, you know, the time that I stepped off the stage, here comes Pedro again. And what does Pedro have? He has a stutter. So I don't know what it is, but when I'm acting, I am not Pedro. I am that character. So I immerse everything into the role, and it's just crazy, Joseph. It's crazy. I don't know how to explain it.
You know, it's interesting too, because there are a lot of actors, like big actors who started acting because they had a stutter. I heard that James Earl Jones, I mean, an iconic voice, right? One of the most iconic of all time, had a stutter. I mean, that's crazy. Like that, it's very inspiring. So, you know, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he is amazing, sir. He is amazing. So yeah, I mean, a huge inspiration. Huge inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So does it run in your family? Are there any other family members who stutter?
Yeah. So I'm the oldest of three kids. So when my brother was born in 2010, he started to stutter when he was about 3 or 4 years old. But my parents put him in speech immediately because they had seen what happened with me, right? And so he's like perfectly fluent now, which is great. I mean, it is. And I think for a long time, I kind of harbored a certain amount of, let's say, resentment over it for a long time. But at the same time, I had to understand, right, that my parents did not understand what was happening with me at the time. And with him, they were like, well, we've seen this before. We know what the story is here. So let's stop it now before it starts, right? And, I think ultimately, too, a lot of what I have now is because I stutter, right? Like I probably would have never become a writer. I probably would have never started writing songs and stories, and so, and I mean that is my favorite aspect of my entire like existence. So it's like, was it worth it in the end? I'm kind of. So that I sort of went off topic there, but basically, so there's him, right? And then my step mom's mother also has a stutter, so we're not technically like, related, but she is, of course, part of the family. And then when I was a kid, actually, it was interesting. When I was a kid, my best friend's father had a pretty pronounced stutter, and this was around the time that mine was kind of starting. So he really helped me a lot. He helped me see that it was okay and that I would be okay, and unfortunately he passed away when I was about 7 years old. But I think if he were still alive now, I would still be, asking him for, advice, so yeah.
First of all, my condolences, and how awesome that he was there to help you. I mean that. I mean, ooh, if only we all had that.
I know. I was very lucky.
Yeah, because my mom, she had a stutter. However, in her teenage years, she had enough of it. I mean, she was tired of it, and she had told herself, I'm done with it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Over. And hers stopped. And
Really?
it's a head scratcher, Joseph. It's a head scratcher. I don't know if it was, her girl power or the power of the mind. I don't know, but hers is gone. But I still have mine.
Jealous.
It's just, I don't know, but yeah, we still have to keep on, we still have to keep on, moving forward. So.
Of course. And, that's kind of crazy, because there were times in my life where I was like, just don't do it. Just don't stutter. Just don't do it. And it worked for like half a day. Right. But I think you just got to keep doing it over and over again. And I didn't have the like mental capacity to keep like on myself about it. So who knows? Maybe if I was like really hard on myself, it would have gone away. But I didn't, I don't know. Is it worth it? I don't know.
I had a ton of days where I'm done with this. I'm done with this. And then I was like, is it gone? No, I still have it. Gosh. Yeah.
It always comes back.
Yeah. Yes. You know what? It always comes back, yeah. So, okay. So, we were talking about speech therapy just, a little bit. Had you ever had it? And if you did, was it helpful?
Yeah. So, I started doing speech therapy what year was this? Like 9th grade. So I was like 14, 15, 14. Yeah, that sounds right. I started it then, and I was in speech for about a year. So it helped an incredible amount. Honestly, it really did. I learned a lot, that stuff that I still try to incorporate right now, the main reason I started speech was because I had to do a 10-minute presentation for school. That was about half my grade for like the whole semester, right? So it was no joke. I really had to like know what I was doing. So I went in there and I practiced that speech, I'm going to say 200 times over and over again. And we just took each word one at a time and just said, how do you say this word? Like, don't see the whole speech. Just see each individual word as you go, So we practiced it so many times, and I went in there and it was just, it's like what happens when you're, on stage. It's just something in my mind and it was perfect for those 10 minutes. I knew what it was like, to not have a problem with my speech for once, and then immediately after the speech was done, it just all came back. Like, there was nothing I could do about it, because they had to ask me stuff after the speech that I didn't know that there was, were more questions. So that was a disaster, but I still got an A. So I think, I think I did pretty good overall.
It worked out, sir. And because, we have to do what we got to do. And and so, I had to give a speech on stage, and I don't know why. I don't know why. But, you know, we each have our toolbox, and we have a ton of tools in there, you know, to help us out. And I don't know why, but I was having a block, and I mean, it was a block. And for some reason, I became a British person on stage. It's quite lovely. I did the last half of the speech in a British accent. And see, at the time, I was just shocked and mortified. However, now, I can, I look back and laugh, but we we have to do what we got to do because it's called survival. And so that's what I had to do. And the questions I had afterwards, Joseph, I can't explain it. I just can't. I can't. It's not lovely.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that it really puts into perspective that most of this is somewhere in our heads, right? There's something we learned early on that just altered the course of everything, right? At least, I don't know. It's hard to say, right? But like when I'm alone, at home, and I'm just walking around my apartment thinking I have to go do this, I have to clean, I have to, I have homework, I have to go to class, blah, 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 blah. I don't stutter at all. And I can just talk and talk and talk to myself all day and be totally fine. But the minute there's another person in the room, even a pet in the room, it changes immediately. So I don't know. There's something to the fact that it might possibly be like a learned behavior or a response to something that happens. I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't think there's anything physically that's a problem. I don't think there's anything even neurologically, that's a problem. I really do think a lot of it is like psychological, which is not to say that it's not very real, right? Because it's very real. But just to think about where it starts and why, I can't help but feel like it's just a response to something else. Because I feel like I stutter more when I feel a certain type of way. I don't know if you've had this same like experience, but obviously when I'm nervous, right? Of course, but also when there's something that's really important that I want to say, that also is really a time when it's very hard for me. So yeah.
See, and here is the crazy part. So I am your direct opposite. When I'm alone and I'm talking out loud, as we all do, I'm not judging. We all talk out loud. I talk to myself. I still stutter. Yeah. I block. I repeat. When I talk to, my dog, I block, I repeat, and she looks at me You're like, it's like, it's like, okay. We are all different. So, but I mean, see, and I don't know if you know the history or the origin of how I got my stutter. So at 5 years old, I was walking home from school, and there was a dog, and it was a huge white German shepherd. So he looked at me, I looked at him. I'm 5 years old, right? I'm 5 years old. That's a pretty dog. And then, I keep on walking home, and then he gets up, and then he runs after me, and so therefore I run, and so then I'm running home and I'm screaming, and and then he jumps on me, he bites my leg, and then my head hits the concrete, and so then that's all that I can recall. And the whole year afterwards, I couldn't talk. I mean, I could not speak at all. However, after that, when I did speak, it was horrible, Joseph. Nothing, had, come out. And so, I've had 20 years of speech therapy. I've done, a voodoo to hopefully get rid of it, but that didn't work. Hold on. I tried voodoo. That didn't work. And then I did hypnosis. Oh, I had to tell you, Joseph, that was the only time my entire body, it was at rest. That was the only time in my entire life that my entire body was at rest. It was amazing. I love hypnosis. So, but yeah,
would you say that the stutter was a result of the TBI, or from the trauma of what happened?
Well, back in the late 1970s, I was told, that it was the head hitting the concrete added to the trauma of the dog attack. So yeah,
so it's a little bit.
Oh, yes. However, here is the crazy part. Had I not had that dog attack, would I have inherited from, my mom? So, who knows?
Yeah.
It's just, it's just a head scratcher.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
I know, right? Like,
because I've heard of that happening where people have a head injury, and then it completely changes how they speak, right? So of course that makes a ton of sense. But that's wild.
It's a head scratcher, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, you had talked, all briefly about, school. However, I want to know the whole story. How was your school experience with having a stutter?
My school experience, it was mixed. Let's put it that way. It was a mixed series of emotions, right? People made fun of me. Sure, that did happen. Of course. I mean, you know, we're all kids and we're just all mean and cruel all the time. But really, I think a lot of it I put on myself, you know, I put a lot of like pressure on myself to not stutter. And I just, you know, I had to learn. And I mean, it took me years. I still sometimes don't hear it, you know, in my head. But, you know, ultimately, like, no one cares as much as you do about your own stutter, right? Like, people just want to like live their lives, and most people are so wrapped up in their own stuff that they don't think about it, right? So school was really hard for me until I knew that, because when you're 10 years old, I mean, everything just it's the most intense thing that you've ever like felt in your whole life, because you're a kid, you're 10 years old, you don't know anything, so everything is just so much, you know. So I mean, up until high school, it was just, I mean, it was a nightmare, right? But I learned that people like it when you know how to like play an instrument. And because I stuttered, I kind of taught myself like how to sing. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can sing now, so maybe I should learn how to like play the guitar or something. And then I've been playing the piano since I was like 3, right? So that was a great way for me to kind of express myself at school, right? In a way that people like actually enjoyed, right? So like everything else, there's you know, there's two sides to the same coin, you know. And I learned a lot of things, and I learned a lot about myself because of it. So, you know, I don't know, it's one of those things where you have to really see everything for what it is. And I just can't imagine that the person I am would be the person I am if I didn't stutter, you know. And then in terms of school too, it really helped me become a very strong writer, because that was the only way I could like say everything that was on my mind. You know, I had to write it all down. So, you know, if anything, I became a smarter, you know, person, you know, as well, because I had to learn how to really like organize all of my thoughts in a way, and then put them, you know, on paper. So, you know, for as hard as it was, and it was very hard, right? It was very hard. Like, I'm not saying that it wasn't, because it was. But for as hard as it was, I think ultimately it made me a better student, you know, in a lot of ways.
Ooh, sir, you hit a great point. A great point. I'm glad you hit it in high school. I hit it, you know, when I turned 40 years old. I wish I did it in high school. I wish. But in school, I was a people pleaser, because, I didn't have any friends, because, who wants to hang out with the kid who can't talk? And so, I would eat, a lunch in the janitor's closet, or I would eat lunch behind the school. So I had to learn that in order to have a friend, I need to, be a helper, a people pleaser. And so, I did that for a long time, Joseph, for decades, until I turned 40 years old. I said, I'm done. Pedro is awesome. I just have a stutter. It doesn't define who I am. It's just what I have. And Pedro is awesome. I don't care what people think about me or my stutter. I could care less. And let me tell you, Joseph, a whole new world opened up. Decades of shame, anguish, anxiety, and fear. It was gone. Because at that point in time, I told myself, enough is enough. Pedro is awesome. I love Pedro. I just have a stutter, and and I'm going to live my life how I want to. Because for decades, Joseph, my stutter controlled everything. Every aspect of my life, it had controlled. Until I turned a big 40, I said, Pedro's in charge now. Pedro is going to do it. And let me tell you, a whole new world opened up. It's like, look what I can do. Yeah. And I don't have to tell you, I failed so many times. However, it's all good, because I learned from each one. And so, but it's like, I wish I had done that in high school, like what you did. But yeah, it took me decades to reach that point. So yeah,
it's I'm sorry. No.
Go.
It's hard, right? Because it's hard to take yourself out of your own head and try to see it from, anyone else's perspective. And I think ultimately too, it only adds to like your intrigue as a person, right? Like everyone has that thing. Everyone has a thing. Like, oh, he's the kid who blank. He's the kid who blank. I was the kid who had this stutter. That's all it was. I was the kid with the stutter, and so I just tried to like apply that to all aspects of my life, right? Like I knew when I was 6 years old, like I knew without a shadow of a doubt when I was 6 years old, I was like, when I am an adult, I want to be a stand-up comic. Like that's all I wanted as a kid. Like that was my favorite thing. I loved stand-up. I still do. And I stopped myself for years and years and years and years because I was afraid. Of talking on stage with a light on you and everyone's staring at you and you're just supposed to make them laugh on top of that. That was just a nightmare, right? This is an absolute nightmare. But I realized, I was like, well, when I'm hanging out with my friends and stuff, I can make them laugh. I can do it. I know that I can do it, but I have to just do it. So, when I was 24, 25, I just went up on the stage. I just like made it happen. And I did stand up every day for almost a year. And at a certain point, I was like, I'm starting to get pretty good at this. Like not, I wasn't great at it, of course, but I was making people laugh, like things were happening, you know. And then I had to stop because, you know, life happens, right? And I had school and work and you know, all this stuff. So it just became, you know, a bit harder. But the point is that I had this thing that I really, as a kid, that I really wanted. And it was the one thing I felt like I couldn't do, you know, until I just made it happen. And then I realized, like, what was I so afraid of, right? Because every comic you meet is just as insecure as you are. Every single one. It doesn't matter if they're here. They're all insecure, right? It's kind of part of the job is to be insecure and to say, I need to make people happy so that I can be happy, right? It's the same thing. So I just try to apply the same, like, principles of, like, I am also a people pleaser. So let me please these people in a way that I want to, right? Which is on stage. So yeah, I just think I had to, like, reframe how I approach this part of just, like, who I am, you know?
How awesome it is to have you be on stage for a whole year and do what you love. How cool is that? I mean, that's just, woo, sir, I got the goosebumps. That is awesome. That is awesome. All right. Okay. So do you have any advice for parents, teachers, and speech therapists with regards to children who stutter?
Yeah, I do have a lot of things to say about that. For the parents, put the kid in speech as quickly as possible, because the earlier it happens, the easier it is to manage it, right? Because I think to a certain extent, and we kind of talked about this already, but to a certain extent, not entirely, of course. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening at the same time, but there is an aspect of stuttering that is a habit, right? Because you have sort of, each person has their own individual stammers and stutters, and each person is different, right? So I can't help but feel like there's something almost like patternistic about it, which I find super interesting. So as a kid, forming a new habit is pretty easy, and it's not as an adult. It's very hard as an adult. So I would just say, put them in speech as soon as you can, because it will help them a lot in the long run. For teachers, I would say, just don't make them read out loud. Just don't do it. Like, they can read. I promise you, they can read probably way more than a lot of people in the class because they have to know how to read and write more than anybody else, right? So don't worry, they can read, just don't make them read out loud. Like, why would you do that? You know, it's interesting because as far as I know, stuttering isn't covered under ADA, right? I mean, it's not, which is insane to me.
Oh, no. They do have it covered under the ADA now.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Is that how it's always been, or is that more recent?
Okay, hold on while I do a Google search.
Okay.
Because, you know, we are all about education over here. We're all about education.
I didn't know that. I could have sworn that it was not, but that, I mean, that if that's the case, that's awesome. That's amazing.
According to Google, okay, it is covered under the ADA because speaking is considered to be a major life activity. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's even more of a reason to not make that kid read out loud in class. You know, that's even more of a reason. Because it is a disability, right? I mean, we are not able to speak the way we are supposed to, right? Quote unquote, supposed to. So it just seems kind of cruel almost to know that a kid cannot handle this thing, and yet you just pretend like it's not a problem. You know, I don't understand that. That will only make it way worse, you know? And I think part of that too is like education standards are very like one size fits all, which, I mean, it's just a horrible approach to school because everyone is very different, you know? So I think it's partially that, but I also think it's partially this thing where we're kind of all supposed to pretend like it's not happening when it is, and supposed to just be like, oh, he's okay, you know, she's okay. It's just this, you know, this little thing. It's not a little thing. It becomes your whole life if you don't know how to help yourself, which no kid knows how to help themselves because they don't even know who they are yet. They're lost. They're completely in the world for the first time and just, you know, taking everything in. So if you make a kid read out loud in class when it is clearly making them anxious, they're going to think that that's it for them in life. And it's going to make them feel hopeless and helpless, which isn't, that's not good. That's not a good or healthy way to form your opinion of everything around you. It's just not, not a healthy start, you know? So that's what I would say to the teachers, to speech therapists. All I would say is thank you. Thank you. Because, I mean, so somebody has to be out there, you know, someone has to help, someone has to care, you know? So that's all I can say to them.
How cool, sir. That is awesome advice. Awesome advice. I thank you for that. Okay, now we are going to change gears a little bit. Let's talk about employment. So had you ever faced discrimination because of your stutter? And if so, how did you deal with that experience?
So, you know, no one has ever outright like fired me because of, you know, because I had a stutter, but I also knew that there were certain things I could not apply for because of it, right? Like, what's the one thing that most people my age have to make a lot of money? It's serving, right? You know, at a restaurant or a cafe, you know, if you're charming and you're nice, you make a lot of tips, right? You make a lot of money. And that was just, that was not really like an option for me, which sucked. I mean, it sucked because I had to take jobs where I, you know, I didn't have to actually like interact with too many people, which I want to hang out with, you know, with people. I don't think I'm that introverted, right? So the thought of having a job where I can just like talk to people and make a lot of money because of it seemed to me very like appealing, right? I was like, this is perfect. I can do this. But I mean, I thought about even saying to, you know, a table like, hi, my name is Joseph, I'll be your server today, here are the specials, here's, you know, just the thought of saying all those things to strangers 100 times a day, I mean, it just scared that, you know, it scared me a lot. So I just never really even tried with those because I could just tell, I just knew, and maybe I'm wrong, I'll never really know, but I just knew in my heart that when I went in to like interview for that kind of a job, they would hear it and they couldn't say, we can't hire you because you have a stutter, right? They can't like say that. But what they can do is just not call you. They can just say, we found someone else who has more experience, or this or that. So I honestly just didn't think I could handle that kind of like rejection, right? Like I didn't want to feel that. So I never really tried, you know. But also it led to me becoming a like working writer, which if you write, that's all you want, is someone to pay you for it, right? And I have that, and I'm so lucky for it. I'm so, you know, like people work very hard for that kind of an opportunity. So I'm like, thank you. You know?
Ooh, Joseph, I mean, to just hear you talking about all those important points, ooh, I don't have to tell you, but, you know, back in the day, you know, we had our newspapers, you know, it was actual paper, you know, back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And there were the, you know, job ads. I mean, just everywhere. So I know, like you, I know what I can do, and I know what I am not able to. I keep it real. And but I don't have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, every job ad had on there must have excellent speaking skills. I said, well, I mean, so I had a red pen. I still have a red pen, you know, to this day. Hold on. To this day, Joseph, I still have that red pen. And so, I mean, the whole page, I kid you not, was X's. I mean, X's. Yeah. And the only job, Joseph, that I knew that I could do and do it quite well, it was a data in a data entry person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's what I did all day long. They handed me a stack of work. I typed everything in. Now here's the interesting part. If ever the admin person who was, you know, at our front desk when they had to go on break, or you know, or take a lunch, you know, they would ask for volunteers to go handle the, you know, telephone. Well, as you know, that was my cue. So I would go to the restroom for 30 minutes or 50 minutes, because it's called survival, Joseph. I don't have to tell you, it's called survival. But I mean, you know, I did that for years and years and years, because I had been told my entire life that I was stupid, and that I had a form of mental retardation because of my stutter. So, I mean, I heard that my entire life. And then, you know, after a couple of decades, you tend to believe it, you know. Yeah. However, you know, later in life, I said, no, I can do anything. So, yeah. But I mean, woo, I don't have to tell you, Joseph, our lives are interesting.
They are indeed. They are.
you were uh, talking about job interviews. I mean, I don't have to tell you, they're rough. I mean, for everybody. However, if you have a stutter, it's like a million times harder. And I bombed so many job interviews. I bombed them until I learned where I'll just go in and tell them, because I can't hide this, Joseph. There's no way that I can hide this. So I go in, I tell them, hey, good morning. I'm Pedro Pena. I have a speech impediment. I have a stutter. So here's what you're going to see, and here's what you're going to hear. So after I put it out there, I said, okay, the hard part's over. The hard part is over. And then, after I put it out there, and they were asking me a bunch of questions, I answered them one after another, because I got the hard part out of there. And then, I got hired. However, prior, no, good Lord. My head and my heart, they were just hurting to just say good morning, I said, no, enough is enough. I'm tired of all the pain, the anguish, the anxiety. I'm tired of it all. Pedro really has to work now because, I got a car payment, I got to pay rent. So it's like, no, you have to do this. So yeah, they're kind of rough, Joseph.
They are rough. They are.
All right. Let's talk about some ADLs. And these are activities of daily living. So how do you handle the telephone? How do you handle, ordering at a restaurant? And how do you do at a drive-thru? I'm just curious.
You just named 3 things I hate doing more than anything in the world.
You're killing me, Joseph. You're killing me, sir. All right.
The phone, if there's any way out of it, I'll take it. I will pay someone I know to do it for me. I'd rather spend my money on that than to just call the place myself. But sometimes it has, it has to be you, right? Like when you call your bank or your phone, provider, or it has to be you. And this is crazy. The craziest part is that I stutter the most when I have to say my name. Say my name, my birthday, my address, because you have to say those things, right? You have to say those exact things, and you can't find alternate words that aren't as hard for you to say, right? So it's that's the hardest part, because I can't say, well, my name is Philip, right? Or something, because they'll be like, okay, well, then you can't access this account because that's not you. So, it sucks, but it has to be done sometimes. I'll be honest, 99% of the time, I do not pick up the phone. Unless it's a person I know and that I know I want to actually talk to, I probably won't pick up the phone. What else with phones? There's a couple things with phones. I have found that I kind of prefer FaceTiming people, because I think when you're on the phone, you just hear silence, sometimes. And they're like, well, what are you saying? What? And I'm like, just hold on. I'm there. I just need to say it. So on FaceTime, you have more of an opportunity for the other person to see that you know what you want to say. You're just having a hard time with it, right? But you can't like FaceTime like, you know, the Bank of America, right? Like it doesn't, that's not an option. So actually, one thing that I love that's happening right now is that every company now has a chat, you know, that you can have instead, which, I mean, that was just, when that started happening, I was like, thank you. Someone heard me, and so many other people, that we needed this, you know? So now
exactly. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Anytime I can now, I use, you know, the chat. It's the best. It's the absolute best. So that's helped a lot. In terms of ordering at a restaurant, it's kind of the same thing where it's like, you can't really say anything else. You can't say, I want the steak, but say, I want, you know, the pork chop, right? You can't say that. You have to say, I want the steak. So sometimes when it's really bad, or the worst part is when I want to eat something that I don't really know how to pronounce, I mean, that just makes it, that's a whole other thing. So, I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I just point on the menu to the thing I want. You know, I'll just point. Because, I mean, what are you going to do?
Exactly. I do that too.
Yeah.
I do that too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it's really not that bad, you know? Because, again, no one cares. They just care that you leave them a tip, right? That's really all that's on their mind when they're helping you. You know, is I need a tip, so they're gonna be super nice to you no matter what you do, right? Like that's part of the job. That's part of the job. So I could say anything and they'll be nice, you know?
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I have to keep in mind just all the time, no one cares. No one cares. Only you care. Because most people they just stare at me, and it's okay because they've seen everything. I mean, if you work in any like front facing industry, right? You've seen everything. You've heard everything. You've met everyone. So I'm not the first person probably that they've served who has a stutter, right? I'm not the first one. I can't be. That would be insane, you know? So I try to keep that in mind, and then usually I'll just order, you know, like a drink, and that will help just to like have a drink and calm down. So that's how I handle ordering at restaurants for sure. And then what was the third one again?
Going through a drive-through.
Oh, right, the drive-through. I just make the other person I'm with do the order. Even if they're in the back seat, I'll pull the car up to where the back seat is the one next to the speaker, and I'm like, You got
I've
this.
done that too, Joseph.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're twins. We're twins. I've done that too. I
I've had
thought I was the
people
only one, Joseph. You're killing me.
Oh man, the drive-through stories. I've definitely on multiple occasions had people in the passenger seat reach over me to talk in the speaker so I don't have to. But if I'm alone, right? Which I mean, I haven't had a car since 2021, so thankfully that's not something that happens too often. But when I had a car and I was, because I mean, I have to have a lot of coffee every day. I drink an insane amount of coffee every single day. So exactly. So yeah, I mean, look, like we both have these monster cups of coffee, and this is only number one for me. Like I'm probably gonna have 2 of these today. So
Joseph, we're twins. We're twins. Yeah, I gotta have this like twice a day.
Yeah, just to like stay alive, just to function. You know, I don't know what that's
Joseph.
about.
Yes,
the whole other thing. So I need coffee, right? I need to have it.
Yes.
So sometimes I just had to like pull up, you know, to the drive-through because I'm also very, very lazy and I didn't want to park the car, stand up, get out, go out, you know, in the store. And there's always a line. And you have to wait. I hate waiting in line for things. Like I'm just not a fan of it at all. So I just would sit in the, you know, in my car, you know, as much as possible. And then, you know, I'd be like, okay, I'm next. Well, what do you want? A cold brew, cold brew, cold brew. Just say it over and over again. Cold brew, cold brew, cold brew. And of course, in the car, I'm fine, right? And then I'm at the speaker and I'm like, hi, I'd like a, and then I'm there, I'm stuck. I'm totally stuck. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'd like a, and then it still won't come out. So for some reason, what's helped me a lot is to say the size of the cup first. I want a large cold brew. That seems to help me for some reason. Also to keep in mind that more times than not, they have a camera in the kiosk, so they see you. They see what's going on. So most times they're just like, okay, you know, they have to just sit there, you know, and wait, because they can't be like, no coffee, you're done. That's not going to happen. That's never happened to anyone in the history of mankind. So it's like, I'm not going to be the first person, you know. So,
exactly, sir. Yes, sir.
So you just have to do it. You just got to do it.
Exactly.
That's all there is to it.
And I mean, I don't have to tell you, Joseph, we have a lot of tools in our toolbox. In drive-thrus, you know, when it was just me, I would have a tape recorder. So I would have it pre-recorded at home for all of the little, you know, like hamburgers or tacos or Chinese or chicken. I had recorded what I wanted to order on a tape recorder. And so I would hold it out. But hold on, Joseph. If you are clumsy like Pedro, you drop it and then it falls to the ground. And then there are cars behind you. So you have to open up your door and then you reach all the way down and then you get it. And then you have to have the tape, you know, put, you know, back in and then hit play and then you hold it out. However, a taco order is coming out and you're at a hamburger place.
Oh my. Oh no.
So what I did was I drove away, went home, and made a sandwich. That's what I did. And then also, Joseph, hold on, Joseph. It gets even better. It gets even better. You were talking about a bank. Well, here's what I did. So I did not speak for 2 years because I was tired of stuttering. So I didn't speak for 2 years. So what I would do is I would write everything down on Post-it notes. Whatever that I wanted, in order, just whatever, I would put it on a Post-it note. And so one day in the late 80s, early 90s, I went into a bank with my Post-it.
Oh no.
So, and in my head, Joseph, I got this. Pedro's gonna be all right. Because I wrote everything down on a Post-it note. All I have to do is hand it to the teller. Ooh, this is going to be a great day, Joseph. So I'm in line, super confident. Oh, the best day ever, Joseph. Pedro got this. So I walk up, and so I hand the Post-it note, and I folded it to the teller, thinking everything is fantastic. All that I wanted is to have a check, all cashed, which I wrote it down on the Post-it and gave it to her. And so once I gave it to her, her eyes went big. And then, I guess she pushed a button. And so behind me, there was a security guard. Now, mind you, this was going to be the best day ever because I had everything all handled and pre-planned. And so then a guard behind me, he taps on my shoulder and tells me to go and walk with him to go and walk into an office. I said, what have I done? And so then I walk in there, and there is the owner of the bank, a guard, and they call the police. Okay, now mind you, I thought that this was going to be an easy operation, which it turned out to be the worst day of my life. Now, I couldn't say my name prior, so now nothing's coming out. Nothing is coming out. And then they're asking me questions. Okay, now, the teller never opened up the note. She never opened it up and gave it to the guard and gave it to the manager. And when he opened it up, I told myself, Pedro, it's now or never. You cannot go to the big house. This will not survive in the big house. This will not survive. I'm keeping it real. And so then I told the bank manager, I have a stutter. This is how I communicate. And so then they called everything off. And I apologized because I made a bank stop all operations for like an hour. I mean, everything halted. They locked all the doors. Nobody was going anywhere.
That's a movie right there.
And so I said, Pedro, you cannot do this anymore. You cannot. Because, I mean, I kid you, I was sweating like you had no idea. And so I had apologized and, and it all worked out. But, I mean, our lives, Joseph, our lives, they are, they're interesting, sir. They're interesting.
You never know what's going to happen every day. You never know.
You don't.
Because you don't know who you will meet, where you're going to go. Stuff happens and you're just like, okay, I'm here. I can't leave. you just gotta do it. You just gotta do it.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. It's just interesting, sir. It's just interesting. Okay. Uh, let's talk about our pandemic. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, all prior to the pandemic, all of us were in the office and we're talking to our coworkers, we're talking to our boss. Everything was fantastic because I had learned how to talk to human beings. So I was good. And then here comes the pandemic. In March of 2020, everything shut down. Everything shut down. And so I was handed a headset and a webcam and told from here on out, you will be home. However, do everything on Teams or Zoom. And I don't have to tell you, Joseph, when I was handed that, I thought, what am I going to do? What am I, can I even do this? They handed me the headset and webcam on a Friday afternoon. All day Saturday, I spiraled. I mean, I thought of everything horrible. I can't. I'm not able to, and they're going to fire me. I have a mortgage. My kids have to eat. My dog has to eat. Everything. I thought of every horrible thing, and I almost put myself into cardiac arrest. And then on Sunday, it hit me. We have to survive. We have to adapt. We have to overcome. And so then I called up a buddy. I said, look, here's what we have to do. I have to practice on Zoom and Teams. And that is what I did. I practiced with him. I practiced our training, our presentations to help me on Monday morning handle it. And I don't have to tell you, this has pushed us completely out of our comfort zones as people who stutter. So I want to ask you, sir, how did you navigate this new normal?
That's a good question. So when we first got this stay-at-home orders in March 2020, I had actually just quit my job, like a month prior to that. And I had a friend of a friend who was like, have you heard of this thing? Have you heard of this COVID thing? And I was like, yeah, kind of. And he was like, it's going to happen. And everyone, like, we will have to stay home for like a year. Like, it's going to happen. And I was like, that's insane. Like, there's no way. And then 3 weeks later, boom, there we are. Right. So for most of the first year or so, I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. It was kind of crazy. Right. And so I worked a lot of freelance from 2022. I want to say mid 2021. And then I got a job writing for Latina in late, I want to say September of 2021. And then April 2022 is when I started to work at Mitú, right? So since then, that's been my like main source of income, right? Thankfully, working there, we're on Slack. it's entirely on Slack. So I don't have to talk to anybody ever. It's a dream job. It's a dream. I love my job because I get to write, I get paid for it, and I don't have to talk to anybody. And yet I can still interact because, we're on Slack. So I still have to like interact with people, but in a way that I'm much more like comfortable with, which is, I can type everything, which I'm great at. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet deal I got right now. I thankfully never had to encounter the whole Zoom thing at work, but I am in school now. And so I take an online class and a few in person as well. And just like everything else, it involves a lot of like talking out loud, right? It's kind of how it is. That's just how it is. So that's been kind of tough, just to sort of find myself in a situation that was at a time like extremely traumatic, but now understanding that no one cares but me, it's actually been like, it's been okay. It's been not too bad, which I'm happy about. Like, yes, I still stutter, but I truly and honestly, for the first time in, I think, my whole life, I really don't care. Like, I really, truly do not care. And it feels great. It does. It feels fantastic to just be like, this is it. Whatever.
Yeah. See, and I mean, that is awesome, because I reached that point as well. Who cares? I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. And so what I do now is I focus on the conversation. I focus on the person. So I'm not even thinking about a block, a repetition. What I am hyper focused on is the person and enjoying the conversation. Mm-hmm. And if I do that, I hardly ever have a block. I hardly have a repetition, because I am in the present with the individual. And it's awesome, because I just don't care anymore. I'm tired, Joseph. I'm 52. I'm a tired old man. So, the goal I have right now is to enjoy life. Enjoy life. Because, I have been through hell and back with having a stutter. I've experienced horribleness and the darkness. However, right now, I just don't care. I don't care about my stutter. I care about that I want to have a good life, enjoy my life, enjoy people, enjoy conversations. And so when I do that, everything else just, it goes away. It goes away. So yeah, I'm right there with you, sir. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. And it's kind of strange too, for me. This is, just my own experience, but the more I cared about my stutter, the more I almost felt like self-centered, right? It almost felt like vain of me to care so much, because it's exactly what you said. You get so in your own head that you don't see what's happening in front of you. And what's happening is a person speaking to you. It's another person that you want to put your like attention on. So if all you care about is your stutter and not what they're saying to you, over time it makes you into kind of a mean person almost, right? Like not a mean person, but just I think what's most important is that people feel heard. And for that to happen, you have to hear them. You have to actually hear them, you know? And that can't happen if you're just like, I don't want to stutter. I don't want to stutter. I don't want to stutter. So not only has it helped me to just stop caring, I think it's helped the people around me too, because I'm more present than I ever have been in my whole life. So yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, I'm right there with you. I am behind you 110%, sir. Awesome. Okay, now, how about we talk about alcohol? You are over the age of 18, correct?
I am. I'm 26.
You're 26. All right. So if you have partaken in the alcohol, had you noticed a difference in your speech, either positive or negative?
Yes, without a doubt, 100%.
So tell Pedro, come on.
When I don't know how much I'm supposed to say right now, but when I'm really drunk, I'm good. I'm the most fluent person you've ever met because I'm out. I get to say all the things that have been in my head for weeks and weeks and weeks, right?
Yes.
And on top of that, when you're really drunk, you don't stop yourself from saying anything, right? Like it's very hard to stop yourself. So I mean, you sort of put those two things, together, and you have someone who just won't shut up all night, But what's interesting is that then the next day when I'm kind of, hungover, I stutter way more than I normally do, as if my head and my mouth is just like, dude, you got to chill today. Like you went hard yesterday. Like you need to relax, So it's kind of interesting how that works, right? Oh my God. That's funny. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to tell you, Joseph, when I have just 2 drinks and that's it, only 2. And I only do a rum and Coke. After I drink 2 of those, what stutter?
Yeah.
Pedro has a stutter? I mean, because I am in the moment.
Yeah.
All I want to do is just hang out with all my buddies, have a good time, and laugh and laugh and laugh. And like you, I am hilarious after I've had 2 rum and Cokes. I don't stutter. And I'm hilarious. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, it's just, it's
something comes out.
Yeah.
Something just comes out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a head scratcher. I mean, everything comes out. Like, whoop, whoop. We got to halt that. Got to halt that. Yes, sir. So, yeah. It's just interesting. It's just interesting.
It is. Because it makes me feel more even that it is mostly psychological, because when you take away one little thing, which is like inhibition, right? Everything changes. So I guess my point is, how do I feel drunk all the time without having to drink all of the time, right? Like, Like
Right.
that's
Yes.
kind of the goal, is to feel that like
Yes.
confidence
Because
all the time.
oh, you hit it right on the nose. Because I have been told by a lot of people, Pedro, just drink, every day, every hour, and you'll be fine. I said, no, that is not a viable option for Pedro. Because, one, I'm in Texas and we have to drive everywhere. I mean, at least an hour and a half to get to work, an hour and a half to just get to work in Houston traffic. And then as I'm heading home, it's 2 hours. I mean, so no, I cannot. I will not, I just have to do what I do. But no, I cannot drink 24 hours a day. It is not a viable option for me.
No, or for anyone,
anybody, yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
that's not a solution,
No.
to a problem, is to just be drunk all the time. Like,
No. Yeah.
you got to find other ways, right? You got to find things that help you.
Yes. And and you hit a great point on things to help you. Let's talk about secondaries, okay? Because, we all have our tools in our toolbox. Whatever that I got to do to get out of a block or a repetition, I'm going to do that. So I have a toolbox. I've had it for over 40 years, sir. Over 40 years. I have so many tools in my toolbox to help me out. Had you ever incorporated a tool, a trick? I've heard that it has been called a crutch, but whatever it is, have you ever had to do it to get over a block and or a repetition?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah, of course. You have to, right? You can't just make the same, not mistake, right? Because it's not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong, right? But if you let the same thing happen over and over and over again, and not at least attempt to see what your like options are, that's crazy. I mean, that's insane. So yeah, and I mean, to call it a crutch is just absurd to me, because it actually helps us be the people that we are, like, in here, so if that is called a crutch, then I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sure, it's a crutch, I guess, but I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. So what do I do? Well, I mean, of course, if there's a word I know I'm going to have like an issue with, I'll probably try to find some kind of like alternate that I can say instead. Like, I tend to oscillate a lot between speak and talk. Sometimes I want to say speak. Sometimes I want to say talk, right? It just sort of depends on how I'm feeling that day. Because that's the thing too. It's never the same stuff every day. Like, you will hit a word and you're like, I haven't really had a problem with this in the past. And then sometimes you'll hit a word that's like, I hate to say this word, but then it's okay. So you can't really know until it's happening, which makes it hard to sort of like plan ahead, unless you plan to just not say anything at all, right? Like with the Post-its and the, it's is that a crutch? No, I don't think so, right? Because it's not something that you're incorporating in your life just because you don't want to handle certain things. It's really not that. It's more that you have to, so that you can survive every day, right? Like if you like if someone saw you in a cast on your leg and you had, like a wheelchair because your leg was snapped in half, right? They wouldn't call that a crutch. It's a thing you need to make it around through the day, so it's kind of the same thing, I think.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, right. Because it is a tool. It is a tool. And I mean, I have so many tools in my toolbox, and you hit it on the nose. We don't know from day to day, from hour to hour, from minute to minute, how we are going to address any issue that may arise. Yeah. Because at a Starbucks, they ask you for your name. I have over 300 names. I've been called Paco. I've been called Jorge. I've been called, all kinds of names. And so after I give them a different, when I give them a different name, I go back to my table. I'm on my telephone, and then they call that name. I'm just on my telephone. They call it again. I'm on my telephone. And then they look at you, sir, this is your name. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I am Jorge. So,
yeah, exactly.
It's just, you know what? Yeah. It is a tool to help Pedro because, it's all about survival. Mm-hmm. It's all about survival. I got to have the coffee, so I will do whatever I can to get the coffee.
Yeah. Because when you want something, you need something, you'll do anything, right? You'll do anything to have it,
right? Ooh, that's a whole other podcast, but yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, that's a whole other podcast. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. So what is a technique that you had learned in speech therapy that helps you today?
I think the main thing that I try to incorporate still is like stretching my mouth and my jaw and everything, like like all that stuff, right? Because one of the things I think a lot of people don't understand, it hurts to stutter. It is a painful experience. I mean, the amount of pain I have felt in this part over here, in my chin, in my everything is insane. It hurts a lot, and it stays with you, and it gets worse and worse every day. So you got to stretch, right? You got to stretch, because ultimately what's happening is you're just flexing stuff you're not really supposed to flex every day in that way. So you're kind of like hurting yourself in a way too, which is a whole other, thing about, yeah. But I think that's the most important thing for me, and it's something I should probably do a lot more is to stretch and to breathe. Really, it's so simple, right? It's like, yes, you can have all the tricks, right? Like I remember when you had to say a word that started with WH, you know, you don't go wha, you go hua, right? So there's that, you know, of course, is a pretty common one. But ultimately, you just have to you just have to stop yourself sometimes and say, all right, let's take a breath, let's stretch a little bit, let's relax. And that tends to help, I think, more than almost anything. And, you know, I think you can really apply that to like all aspects of life. So just stop yourself sometimes, because everything just moves now so quickly. Everything. This is crazy how many things we learn every day and have to hear every day and read every day and see every day. Of course we're stressed out. Of course we have a problem talking. I mean, that's all anyone wants to do is just talk and be heard now. Which there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I think maybe the way that people approach it is a little bit unhelpful, right? Because when you stutter, you can never really be the like loudest voice in the room. So you're instantly at this giant disadvantage in a culture that increasingly values, you know, not so much content, but how that content is delivered, right? So that's tough. That's really tough. So with that in mind, it's like, you know, I think we should all at some point just stop and just breathe and think and prepare, you know, and say things in the most resolute way that we can. I think we owe it to each other to just sometimes take a step back a bit and reflect. And I think when you stutter, you kind of already have to. That's already a part of you every day. So for that also, I am extremely grateful, because it seems like a lot of things are trying very hard to capture your attention at all times, right? Everywhere you go. So it's important to know that you can trust yourself And I think that when you stutter, that's something that's a bit more important than it is to most people, you know?
You hit on so many great points, sir. So many great points. Look, I take down notes because, I mean, you are just hashtag awesome. And you had talked about the pain. Ooh, Joseph, I think we're twins now because no one understands what we go through on a daily basis. Nobody. Yeah. I have pain in my jaw, pain in my neck, pain in my mouth. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't have to tell you, sir. At the end of the day, I am exhausted physically and mentally. I mean, just everything. I have no more energy for anybody or anything at the end of the day. When I come home, I sit on the couch and just in the darkness. Because the moment that I wake up, my whole body is tense. I mean, everything. And all day long, everything, all of your organs, everything is just, all tense the whole day. And after I come home, I walk out through the door. I have on what I call body armor. Okay. So when I get home, it all comes off and I'm completely all drained. Now, all day long, I have, because there are still, people out there who don't understand, who don't know what we have. And therefore, they mock you, they tease you, they laugh at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I have on the body armor that I put on every morning. I put it on, and then all day long, I may go, doo-doo-doo-doo. I mean, if there is a person who mocks me, I don't even pay them attention. Because hurt people hurt people. And so when I get home, I am just 100% all drained. I don't want to talk to anybody. And then, as you know, we do it all over again.
Got to do it. You gotta.
It hurts. It does. It hurts. Yeah. So.
And it's on top of that, right? 99% of people you meet, the first thing they do is make fun of you. The first interaction that they have, the first sentence they say to you is making fun of you. Because it's always, hey, and then you get stuck on your name and they're like, are you sure? Or, is that really your name? Did you forget your name? And I'm like, shut up. Like, no, I didn't forget my name, dude. Have you never heard of any kind of impediment before? Or do you think that you're the first person to say this to me? I've heard it 3 times in the last 24 hours. Like, come on, So that's always just, it's always just like whatever. But you really know who people are off the bat. You just know inherently how they respond is a lot. It will tell you pretty much everything you have to know about that person. So that's good.
Ooh. You hit it right on the nose. Later on, I will ask you, on that topic, However, I want to tell you, what my stutter has taught me is that it shows me who people truly are. It shows me who is worthy of my time. Because I cannot tell you, Joseph, when I am talking to a person, and if I have a block, my eyes are going to close. And then my arms go all over the place. And there have been times when I reopen my eyes and the person is gone. The person is gone. And so, that tells me they are not, they are not worthy of my time. And so, you hit it right on the nose. It shows who people truly are. Because, ooh, yes, I have been, I have been, I have been, laughed at in the corporate world. Mm-hmm. I have been just here.
Brutal.
And so, just horrible. However, the old Pedro, I would get angry and rage on them. However, the new Pedro, what I do is I educate them. I raise awareness. I tell them this is what I have, and this is what you are going to see and what you are going to hear. And so that way you are educated. That way, if you experience another person like Pedro, you will have the patience. You will have the respect, the good eye contact. Now, I may not give you eye contact, but I want it from you, but here is how you handle it for the next person, because we are out there, we're everywhere, and we're awesome. And we deserve respect like everybody else. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, you hit a nerve, a topic. Ooh, sir. Yes, sir. 100%. Ooh, that's a whole other podcast, but yes, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. So have you experienced phases in your speech? As in, on Monday, everything comes out. On Tuesday, nothing comes out. Yeah. On Wednesday, half of it all comes out. Yeah. Do you experience that as well?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. There was one point where I didn't stutter really for like a month. And I was like, I'm cured. It's over. It's done. We did it. I don't know how, but we did it. And then, of course,
hallelujah,
it came right back. It came right back as it does. But yeah, depending on who I'm talking to, what we're like talking about, excuse me, sometimes, yeah, I'm good, which makes it all the more frustrating when I'm not, because I'm like, but I just did it. I know I can do it because it just happened. Why can't I keep making it happen? Right? I still don't really know. I still don't really understand why. I still don't have any of the answers for that. But yeah, of course. Like pretty much anything else, you have good days and you have not so good days,
I don't have to tell you, sir, on those days where everything comes out, you have those people. I don't know why they're out there, but you have those people say, oh, I know what you're doing. You want attention. And so you're pretending to have a stutter.
Yes. Why would I pretend to have a stutter? Why would I want this? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's absurd to me.
It's crazy. No, I would not wish this on anybody. My Lord, I'm going to testify today. I would not wish this on anybody because what I have been through, which I'm sure you have too, I have been through hell and back.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been through the darkness, sir, the darkness, but I have come out of it a better, a stronger person. But no, I wouldn't, I mean, yeah, I mean, it just, your head just explodes. That is absurd. That is absurd. But yeah, I just, Okay, so here is a hot topic. So we have a couple of hot topics, but here is the first one. Okay, now, I mean, it's super hot, so hold on. All right.
Oh, no.
All right. Dun. Okay, sir. So do you let others help you finish your sentences? Dun.
Short answer, no. Long answer, I would if people knew what I was trying to say, but they never seem to. No. So it becomes more, it's not even me trying to say it at a certain point. It's just them saying things to me and me being like, no, nope. And I hate to put it, in this way, but sometimes I gotta be like, shut the hell up. Like, let me finish. Let me just say what I gotta say. It's one word. You don't have to know what the word is until I say it. It's okay. I mean, even my parents, I know that they want to help me, right? Like, I know that's why, but I have to be like, hey, stop. I got it. Like, it's been this way for me my whole life. You know that. So just let me, I got to do it. I got to say the word. And you don't know what the word is, obviously. So just stop. Just don't do it, So, I mean, if someone knows what I'm trying to say, like if it's very obvious, like I want to eat at burger and I get stuck, they know what I'm going to say. It's not like I'm going to say Burger Town, right? Like they know what I'm going to say. So in those cases, it's fine. But when I'm trying to actually like make a point, right? Which I often do. I have many opinions on many things. I can't lie. So, when I'm trying to make a point, you just got to listen, because I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say most times. I've learned that no one knows what you're going to say until you say it, because they have all tried, and 90% of them have been wrong, like completely wrong. So I've learned that as much as you might assume that they know, because, it's in your head, they really don't. They don't, so, yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, you hit it right on the nose. If you know, but if you don't, it makes it just, 100 times worse. And we are all different. There are a lot of people who have a stutter and they don't want you to do that at all, which I understand.
Yeah.
I am of the age where I'm tired. I'm tired, Joseph. I'm exhausted because I've been all day long. I have been, stuttering and blocking and repeating. So at the end of the day, if you know what I'm trying to say, help out Pedro. I mean, it's all good. Just make sure you get it right. Yeah. Make sure you get it right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do you handle horrible days? I mean, how do you handle just having just a horrible day? speech wise? What do you do?
What do I do? I feel very lucky because I get to work from home, which is great. So if I'm because you kind of know, you don't even have to say the words out loud to know this is a bad day, right? You just kind of feel it. So when I feel like it's going to be a bad day for me, I usually just stay home. I usually just like, I'm good here. I got my, I have all my stuff. I don't have to leave the house for any reason. So why leave? Not that that's the right approach, I think, on some level, right? Like, not that I would say that that's helped me, but it is a way for me to cope with it, right? Because sometimes that's all you have in you is just to make it through the day, because we all have on top of this life, and life is hard enough as it is without having to also think about every interaction, in excruciating amounts of fear and so sometimes all you have in you is just, I have to cope. And that's totally cool. Like, that's okay. Right. Like more than anything, I think with a stutter, you just gotta be really like kind to yourself, because the more you criticize yourself and allow that like negative like self talk sort of take over, right? Then you've already sort of like lost the battle, right? So yeah, so I would just say be kind. Just really, that's it. Because it's okay.
I mean, you hit it right on the nose. Be kind to yourself, because we are our own worst critic.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've all had horrible days. I mean, I've had days where I am on stage, I'm giving a training, a presentation, and then I block, but it's a long block. However, I don't give up. I cannot give up. Because I have people who are in the audience who are there to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is I take a pause, I breathe, and then I carry on.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
However, in my head, oh, man, I messed up, And so, I go home, and my home is right up by the ocean. And so what I do is I go towards the water. I walk in the water, and I don't know what it is, but after like half an hour, I have so much energy, and positivity and charged up. And then I tell myself that it will be a better day tomorrow. It will be. Yeah. Because, I mean, we've all had those horrible days, but we need, You had the perfect answer. Be kind to yourself. I mean, yeah. Okay, now on the on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you have a win, do you celebrate it?
If I have a win, like if I have an interaction that like goes like smoothly, right? Like,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely.
Yes.
This actually just happened recently. I was talking to a stranger because they asked me for directions, right? And I mean, that's just a nightmare scenario. Have a stranger come up to you out of nowhere and ask you a question. I mean, what could be worse than that, right?
I feel you, sir. I do feel you. Yes.
So when that happened, I was like, all right, just be cool. Like, it's all right. You're never going to see this person ever again. You're never going to speak to this person ever again. So no matter what happens, you're fine, you know? And that for some reason that like made me feel very calm in you know, in that moment. And I talked with them. Like we spoke for like a little bit and I didn't have a problem with it. And I was just like, yo, that was cool. I'm cool right now. Like I feel cool because of that, you know? So that was a huge one for me. That felt really good. You know, I feel that way on stage, really. When I perform and it's perfect, you know, I mean, that's it. That's the most that you can ask for out of life, is to like make other people happy through something that you are like passionate about, right? That's what all of this is for. Like that is the point of everything. So when that happens, I mean, you know, it feels incredible. So yeah.
Ooh, I mean, you hit it right on the head, sir. I mean, I don't have to tell you because I just heard it. When I am on stage, when I am acting, oh my gosh, it feels amazing. I mean, here is a person who can't say his name, can't say his address or telephone number, but look, I am on stage and I mean, I am acting in a play and the audience is, I mean, they are engaged and they, I mean, it is just awesome. And so, I mean, I hear you 100 and 10%. When I am on stage, that is when I am the most happiest, because it's like, you know, look what I get to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
It is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to talk about, you know, our language, just, you know, all briefly. Are you bilingual or trilingual?
Neither, unfortunately. I tried to be, right? I think the way that we sort of started like interacting was that you saw my op-ed, right, about having a stutter, especially as a Latino, right? I mean, it's tough, right? And my parents specifically didn't teach me how to speak Spanish as a kid because they wanted me to have a wholly American like experience, right? Which that's also a whole other podcast right there, right? So I didn't start to learn Spanish until I was in school. And by that point, I already had a pretty pronounced stutter. So it was really hard for me to be into it. It was really hard for me to speak and to say the words and to practice. It was tough because people don't think you have a stutter. They just assume, oh, he's horrible at Spanish. He's horrible at the language, not that he can't talk, right?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
And when you come from a family, they all speak Spanish except for you. When you try to learn it, they almost instinctually say, well, you should already have this down. You should already know this, and that makes you not want to try. It makes it harder. So I speak a normal amount of Spanish, right? Like I could probably make my way through like vacation or something, but I couldn't have a whole entire conversation with a person. That's partially just because they just assume you don't speak Spanish, right? Because I will say this, and this might be a very controversial hot take, but people who speak Spanish really well tend to kind of look down on people who speak it really poorly, right? Like, let's
that's
be
a
honest
whole other
here.
podcast, Joseph.
Let's be real here. It's two Hispanic, people talking right now. If you don't,
we are keeping it on the real.
Yeah. They're like, what's wrong with you?
And they do.
And so it makes you really not want to try,
Ooh, sir. I mean,
yeah. You have the amount of times I've heard stuff from my family where it's like, ugh, all right, here he goes. It's like, yo, like what? Help me.
Help me help you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So, I speak, okay. The only Spanish I know helps me at Taco Bell. So I know just a little. I'm keeping it real, Joseph. Keeping it real.
That's funny.
My only Spanish works at Taco Bell. Okay, now I also speak Turkish, and so however, I stutter in every language. And I mean it's just a head scratcher. However, if I'm doing a British accent, everything. I mean, it's just,
Mhm.
your head just explodes. It's like,
Mhm.
I mean, how can you do that if you can't do? It's like, you know what? I don't have all the answers. All I know is this is what I can do. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just. I mean, yeah. It's just interesting. It's just interesting. But you hit it right on the head because they do look down on you. Believe me.
Yeah,
I'm in Texas. I'm in Texas.
it's a
Yes,
real
sir.
thing. It really is a
It
real
is.
thing.
Ooh, sir. It's hot up here in Texas. All right. So let's move on.
The hot takes coming in.
Got some hot topics coming in. All right, sir. All right. So here is a powerful question. All right. How do you feel about the representation of people who stutter in the media?
Well, this is really important for me because I am a film maker. So it's really important to me that people like myself feel, accurately portrayed on screen. Now that's hard, right? Because everyone has their own kind of stutter, but there are, I think, things that are very like universal about it too, right? Like I'm gonna be honest with you. When I watched the King's speech, I was like, this is nice. It's cute. It's not real. It's not how it is at all. He did not have it that bad, compared to the stories I've heard and people I've met. I was at the Stuttering convention. I don't know if you've this was about 10 years ago. I met this kid. He was a really nice kid, but he could not say one word. He was just completely, I guess the word might be like neutralized by his stutter. And I thought to myself, like, this is the story that we have to tell, not the person who's the king who has a slight stutter and a ton of money, right? We need to tell the story of the kid from the working class home who maybe can't even afford a speech therapist, whose parents have to work every day. They can't help them. They don't have any time. This person who's in school can't say a single thing, so they don't have a ton of friends. I mean, this is the real stuff. This is the real stuff. So I think it's important to me that those stories are told more often. One movie that I really loved was Rocket Science. Have you heard of this movie? It's amazing. You should watch it.
Okay.
It's great. It's about this kid in high school who has a stutter, who decides to join his school's speech and debate team to help himself. And it's super sweet, super, like, it's just really good. And it's so real. And it feels like it was made by someone who has a stutter. And it turns out that that's what happened. The guy who made the film, it's kind of like based on his actual life. So that was great because it was real. And so I'm hoping I can, at some point make something like that. Like I would love to make a film about, me attempting to become a stand-up, because I've never seen that story before, so I think that could be super interesting. But overall, I would say stuttering in films is mixed, because every time I see a character who has a stutter, it's like, oh, this is cool. But at the same time, I'm like, is this real? Is this accurate? Is this helpful? Is it harmful? It's interesting too, because I would say in the late 80s, early 90s, for some reason, a lot of action movies, the villain had a stutter, which is crazy to me, because it implies that the insecurity that comes with it can make you into a horrible person, right? Which I guess I see that logic. And I said already, I said that when you care so much about it, it can make you a little bit self-centered, for sure. But it doesn't make you into like a bad person, right? So I always thought that was kind of odd. Even if, and I have to admit, I love some of those movies, I do. But it is a bit strange. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, I don't appreciate how they have us as being non-intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no. We are smart.
Yeah.
We are highly intelligent. We are highly intelligent. However, in the media, that is not how we are portrayed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just hoping there is a change in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sir. So had you ever thought about that your stutter might hinder your career path?
Oh yeah, every day. Every day I think that, the first thing I ever was interested in my life was, comedy, right? And that, for me at least, it felt completely impossible, right? And I want to write and direct stuff. You have to talk to hundreds of people every day for that to happen. You know, you do. You have to talk to people all day, every day. And it's fast. You have to move quickly. You know, so yeah, I mean, of course I've thought about it a lot. But I think what's helped me a lot too, and this might sound a little, you know, ooh, but I know I'm really good at what I do. Like, I know that I'm good at it. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as long as what we are all working on is, if not important, at least, you know, interesting, right? That's what's important, is the piece, is the art, right? So I just try to like keep that in my head all the time. It's like, it's not about me. It's about the art that we make, you know? Because it's not just one person on set. You have on a big film, you have hundreds of people. So why should I pay any mind to the fact that I stutter, when really the most important thing happening is that we're all here for the same reason? And that's incredible. Like, that's incredible. That's what's important. Not, you know, blah. Not this.
I got you, sir. Awesome. So here is another hot topic. All right, so here we go. We are going to talk about dating. As you know, it's hard for everybody, but if you're a person who stutters, dating is a little bit more stressful.
A little bit.
So I want to ask you, Josef, how do you navigate dating with having a stutter?
I'll put it this way. It has forced me to get really creative with how I like introduce myself. But once that's over, I still find this so strange for some reason, but a lot of people have told me that they think my stutter is like really cute, which I'm like, okay, I mean, if that means that you're into me, then cool, I guess. But also, like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about having this thing that has made my life infinitely harder be called something that's cute, you know, because it's not for me. I'll tell you that. It is not for me. It is anything except that. So it's something I've had to take in stride. And it's something I've had to, once again, you learn a lot about a person very, very quickly. And, you know, my partner right now, she has never said that she thinks my stutter is cute. Not once. You know, she just respected that I needed some extra time. And that makes me feel like a person. And that's really important, to feel like a person, you know, and not like almost like a toy, right? Right? Because that's kind of what ends up happening, is that they sort of take this one quality and sort of define you with it, while at the same time like minimizing it by saying, oh, you know, it's so cute. So I don't know. At first I was okay with it, and now I don't really like it. It kind of upsets me, you know? So it's been interesting for sure.
Yes. Well, you hold on to her, because she's a keeper.
Yes.
She's a keeper.
She's amazing.
Because there are people out there who love you for you.
Yeah.
Love you. They don't care if you're bald headed or, you know, if you have a mohawk or bow-legged or have a gap, they don't care. They love you for you.
Yeah.
And that is who I want. Yeah. I mean, because yes, I have been told, oh, that's so sweet, that's so cute. No, it is not. And there, I do not stutter. I said, no, it is not. Yeah. It is not.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, but see, hot topic. Yeah. All right, sir. Okay, so we are in the home stretch. I just have a couple more to ask you. And so, how do you feel about all this new home technology? You have Google Home, you have Alexa, and then you have Siri. Do you think it's helpful or harmful for people who stutter?
Extremely harmful. Extremely harmful. I'll be honest with you. I refuse to even try to use any of that stuff anymore, because it makes me it infuriates me. Absolutely infuriates me. It's like the equivalent of having someone interrupt you over and over and over again. It is maddening to me, because I'll be like, hey, Siri, right? And I can't even say the name of the thing I'm trying to call. And then I'm like, tell me where I can. And then she's like, what? 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 I don't know. What are you saying? And I'm like, all right, I'll just type it in. Forget it. This is absurd. And yeah, so I just refuse to even try with any of that stuff. I do think, though, that somebody smarter than me will invent one of those made for people who stutter. And when that happens, they will be a rich person, because I can name off the top of my head a lot of people who would need that, you know? So it's going to happen.
Oh, sir. Okay. Woo. Okay. So I also have a hard time with all of them. They don't give you enough time to respond. I need at least half an hour to breathe and do my mindful meditation, my daily affirmations.
Yep.
I mean, I need a whole bunch of time, and I don't have that with, you know, with it. However, I do have some good news. I was a part of 2 studies from 2 huge colleges here in the U.S. and they are creating an algorithm to help people who stutter, who use the Google Home and the Alexa, and then the other one that I can't say because it has an S in it. So there is hope, sir. It's just right around the corner.
It's happening.
Right
now.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm super excited.
Oh my God,
Woo!
that's great.
I know it's just hashtag awesome.
It is.
Okay, so what is a challenge speech-wise that you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
I mean, there's so many to choose from, right? There's I'll say this. I'll say that everything is a challenge, right? Like every aspect of this is a challenge. The one I'm really trying to right now spend a lot of my energy on is my name. I would love to be able to say my name. And if anyone hears this, I would love if they heard this part specifically. Imagine that you cannot say your name to a person. How would that make you feel? Sad, angry, frustrated. I would even say maybe depressed. You know, it's no joke, because your name is kind of like who you are. And I maybe don't want to look at it quite this intensely, but when you can't say who you are, you start to wonder, who am I, right? Which sounds kind of insane if you don't know already how it feels, but it does feel like that sometimes, and that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing to feel. So I think that that's only made me more determined to know myself really well, because I'm more than just my name that I can't say. You know, that's maybe the least important thing about me at this point is my name. You know, so I really just think it's about how you approach it, right? Because listen, no matter what, it's going to be hard. No matter what you say, how you say it, it's going to be hard. So
exactly,
at the very least, just love yourself. Like, that's it. That's all you can do.
Oh, yes, sir. Ooh, 100%. 100%. All right. So here's a big one. Okay. Now, you may have just all briefly had touched it, but I want the full answer.
Okay.
So do you think it's okay to stutter, or is it important to keep chasing the fluency gods?
Okay. I have kind of maybe a controversial answer to this. I've thought about this a lot for years, and this is what I think. I think that in the stuttering community, there is something vaguely toxic in the rhetoric of it. Obviously, we should all strive to accept ourselves. That's the most important thing, right? This is the thing I've been saying the whole time. Love yourself. That's number one. But there's an aspect of it too that I don't like, which is this concept that you should not only accept your stutter, but want it. That I think is too far, because this makes people suffer so much. And I don't know that the solution is to try to convince them that it's healthy for them to feel the way that they feel. Because I think that just sort of takes away from how painful it is. You can accept things about yourself, but you don't always have to love them. What matters is that you love yourself, not everything about yourself. Those are two completely different things. So I remember I was at this same convention, and the same kid who couldn't say a word, right? They asked him, if you could take a pill that would make you stop completely, would you take it? And I knew just from the vibe of the room that you're supposed to say no. And that's what he did. He said no. But that's a lie. That's a full-on lie. If that kid could talk, he would talk. And to say that appreciating your own stutter more than it is to maybe attempt to find a way to, communicate with people more effectively. I don't know. I don't like that. I really don't like that. So yeah, I think it's important to try, right? But just don't be so hard on yourself if things don't happen the way you hope that they, there's a space in between, where you don't have to hate it, but you also don't have to love it either. And you can just accept it as it is and just take things one step at a time, so that's how I feel about that.
All right, sir. I thank you for that. What has your stutter taught you?
What has my stutter taught me? That we all need to slow down. That's probably the main thing. That we all need to slow down a bit. Because I think a lot of people now are just so concerned with as much information as they can possibly intake every day. And I think that's starting to be applied to like human interaction too, in a big way that makes me feel extremely uncomfortable, right? So when you're not responding at their speed, they move on. They're like, okay, done, next. And I'm just like, I'm a person. You're a person. Let's just talk about something. It's okay. We don't have to come to some interesting conclusion about all the stuff that we're talking about. We can just hang out and I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It feels strange that I think more so than ever, people avoid interactions that they don't have to have, which, if you think about it, is like, it's almost like everyone now has a stutter, because we're all approaching like interactions now in the same sort of way, which is like, if I don't have to speak to this person, I won't. So that's sort of strange to me, for sure. But yeah, I think we should all just kind of just slow down for a bit, because if we keep moving faster and faster and faster, eventually it's just it will all snap,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a scary thought. It is a scary thought.
I thank you for that. Here's a powerful and quite emotional question. So here we go. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Tell your parents to stop messing around and put you in speech immediately. Because they said to me over and over again, it's going to be all right. It'll pass. It's not a big deal. And I knew that wasn't true. I knew it, but I was a kid. So I was just like, okay, but if I could now, I'd be like, nope, that's not going to happen. Let's go. Let's, please, so I'd probably say that, honestly. But if not that, I would say no one cares. And if they make fun of you, it's okay, because they probably just hate themselves a lot, and they need to make you feel like you should hate yourself too, and that's not the case,
Oh, yes, sir. Hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
Ooh, yes, sir.
So that's what I would say.
All right, sir. And here's our last question. If you had the opportunity to give insight about stuttering on the world stage, what message would you convey?
What message would I convey? I guess I would say really the most important thing is empathy, and that applies to everyone, right? In the world, a vast majority of people, there's one thing that is easy to most that for them is not easy. Everyone has that one thing. And for people like you and me, that thing is, it's hard for us to talk. It is hard. So I would just say, like, think about that thing that everyone else is like, this is super easy, and you just can't seem to do it right, because there is a thing. So just think about that and how frustrating that can be. And then, you know, you will understand how it feels.
Ooh, sir, that's a great message. Woo! I was taking notes. That was awesome. Okay. So we have been talking for 3 hours, and it just flew by, Joseph.
It did.
I've had the best conversation talking and speaking with you, sir. You are a huge inspiration, and so I truly believe there's healing in sharing our journeys. And so, you know, I want to tell you, you know, thank you for spending your afternoon here, telling and sharing your journey. You are just hashtag awesome, and just, a huge inspiration. And so I want to tell you, sir, I thank you.
You too. I mean, you host a podcast. You do something that requires you to talk for hours on end every week. So you are also extremely inspiring, because so many of us want to share our stories in interesting, you know, sort of ways, and podcasts are huge right now, and it's something that I think we kind of all feel like we can't handle, but that's not true, because look what's happening right now, you know. So it's very cool. It's very, very cool.
Oh, sir, I thank you for that. Okay, now, here is the most awesomest part. I'm blessed. The most awesomest part, because I'm from Texas. We have our own language. And so, you know, my podcast is in 121 countries on 6 continents. I mean, how awesome is that?
Oh my God, so that made me nervous.
I'm glad I told you at the end of the interview. It's
oh no.
However, it is awesome, because I get email from all over the world, and they email me. I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only person who was, going through this. But in hearing your podcast, I felt heard, and I don't have to tell you, Joseph. I mean, woo! I mean, from all over the world. So I'm blessed, and I am extremely appreciative of everyone who hears this podcast from all over the world. And so, if they wanted to reach out to you, because I mean, come on, who would not? You're hashtag awesome. How would they do that, sir?
So I try to stay a little bit off the grid, because social media is a nightmare. But I do have an Instagram. It's at Josef dot MOV, and the name is spelled with an F instead of a PH. So, but honestly, if you want to speak to me, send me an email. Honestly, that's the best way. So my email is Josef.Henry.Rodriguez at Gmail. That's the best way to reach me.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that. I will post all of those hyperlinks in the podcast show notes. And so that way, anyone from around the world, from Egypt, from all over the world can reach out, because I just have to say it again. You are a bright light. You are truly a bright light. And so I know that you are in the industry. Are you currently, do you have a project that you are currently working on?
Yeah. So I'm currently in the process of finishing up my most recent documentary project. I can't say too much about it right now, but I will say that I had an incredible team who helped really make this happen. So I can't even really take that much credit because they were just incredible. So I have that, and I really like to interview people, I just, it's great. I love it. So I'm thinking about starting a outlet that's all about interviews. So if and when that happens, I will let you know for sure.
Oh, awesome, sir. Woo, woo. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, sir. So just, hold on. And one more time, I want to tell you, thank you. Thank you. And so I'm hoping, I'm hoping that down the road, we do this again, because I have like hundreds of other types of questions to ask you.
Yeah.
However, we have spent 3 awesome hours, and so I know that you have a very busy schedule, and so I appreciate you, sir. And so, I want to say just one more time, I thank you. Thank you. Hope you have an awesome day. Take care, be well, and stay safe.
Thank you.
If you like this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening, and we will talk again.